Mr. Superintendent, I believe you will take 4 and 5.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. I would like to request that the board, that agenda item C4, which is the 2015-16 school calendar, be pulled from the agenda. And in accordance with policy AEA and regulation AEAR, the district calendar committee convened in September to develop the 2015 calendar recommendation. The calendar committee was composed of a variety of shareholder groups, including students, parents, business and community partners, school-level staff, and district-level advisors. The district's calendar committee was charged with developing calendar options by considering basic calendar parameters, including, but not limited to, the number of days per year, number of days per semester, inclement weather, emergency days, spring holidays, testing windows, and other metro area school district calendars. The committee members were divided into work groups for the purpose of developing several calendar options. Also, the members obtained stakeholder input through a survey questionnaire instead of a vote. The total number of surveys that were completed was 6,020. At this time, the calendar committee is requesting permission to delay the agenda item, and primarily because the Georgia Department of Education has not released the 2015-16 testing schedule. Therefore, the committee members could not finalize a calendar option without possibly impacting the administration of the Georgia Milestones Assessment System and other assessments critical to the district's gifted identification progress. And therefore, Mr. Chair, we are requesting that this item be removed and placed on the December agenda once we get more information from the state, so that our testing windows will not be negatively impacted.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Is there any discussion from any board members relative to this request? Mr. Coleman?
I just had a quick process question. So we anticipate then that this month the testing schedules will be released. Is that a fair, if we're putting on the December agenda, is that right?
Ms. Stacy Stepney, I'll ask her. She co-chairs the committee, so Ms. Stepney, you want to answer that?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Coleman, we have been waiting for the calendar for a few months, so we're anxiously waiting, hoping that it will be released soon.
Okay, and the process would just be, as soon as we get those dates, we just make sure that aligns with the draft calendar that was set out. If it does, there would be no changes. If it does not, we'd revisit whatever dates are necessary. Is that right?
That's correct.
Mr. Orson?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions. One is, do we have any expectation that the milestone testing schedule will be vastly different from what the CRCT schedule has been historically?
I cannot interject an opinion because the state is planning right now.
Okay, I only ask that because I'm concerned that I don't want this to slip too far, because we found ourselves in a position of then ending up being the last school system to put out a calendar. I think some systems have already put out projected calendars for next year, even without this, and quite frankly, I think we're pretty much reduced to kind of our start date and how we fill in behind that start date, if I understood when we've talked about this before. That is, if we're going to try to have some sort of fall break and start earlier, or start more in alignment where we have been historically. So I appreciate trying to be as thorough as possible, but I would prefer that we also balance it with not putting on a calendar that's so late that parents begin to feel that they can't plan because of the uncertainty.
Yeah, that's fair. Ms. Stephanie, I think, shared with us this morning that 4 districts have published their calendar.
Yes, sir. Only 4 districts have.
4 metro districts or 4 statewide?
4 metro districts.
Okay, well, that's a pretty big chunk of the metro, but which ones have?
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 second.
And the only other thing
Is metro all the metro counties, or the large metro
The
calendar?
Metro Calendar Committee is comprised of Gwinnett, Fulton, Marietta City, Cherokee, Douglas, Clayton, DeKalb, Decatur City, and Cobb. And of the group, Cherokee, Douglas, Decatur City, and Cobb have published their calendars.
Okay. And then the only other question is at some
Not
point.
Gwinnett. I know that was going to be your question.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm surprised that Alvin. Well, that's because Alvin's deciding when he. That's because Alvin's deciding when he wants the milestone test to be given, so he can tell the state. The only other question is at some point, perhaps, if you might be able to share the survey results with us, so we can at least begin to understand where people were thinking. So as we go to make a final decision, we can see kind of the parameters of what was asked, and not wait till the next meeting, because it'd just be helpful to move the process along.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. No further discussion. Is there any opposition to removing this item from the agenda? Hearing none, this item will be removed from the agenda.